My talk is on the Cryonics Community Renaissance, and I promise you won't be here much longer. I would tell everybody to stand up and do jumping jacks, but I'm not going to force that on you. Just have some in your mind, and then your mirror neurons could hopefully wake you up a little bit. Okay. So, first, I want to convince you a little bit that community does matter, right? We are all here because it's important. It gives us meaning as humans, a sense of identity, social proof, right? I think this was mentioned maybe yesterday, the people who you respect and admire doing something makes it easier for you to take the plunge and do that thing. A lot of you I respect and admire, and you're all here. This is important. Networking, obviously, you can find people to work with, find other researchers, people who are working in your field, and of course, knowledge sharing. Community matters, even for those of us who are introverts, who are on the spectrum, whatever that might be, it still matters. Okay, so what was the cryonics community like in the past? Because I'm going to suggest that it's changed a lot in the past few years, so maybe prior to about 2020, what was the cryonics community like? Well, I went looking for cryonics community around 2020. This is the start of COVID, as you recall. I was moving to Austin, and I said, cryonics matters. I've been signed up for like 5-6 years. I want to do something beneficial for cryonics. I want to connect with the cryonics community. Okay, so what happened? Well, I've certainly quickly realized that the cryonics community is rather siloed. There's a bunch of different cryonics communities, small ones, in different cities, and well, I connected with, I was trying to create one or connect with one in Austin. There seemed to have already been one, but it was kind of dead or something. So, all right, I tried to do that. And yes, it turns out there were a bunch of little cryonics communities around the country. Europe probably had a similar situation. Great. But what we really want to know is, what was the online cryonics community like? Very different. Well, first of all, there was a Discord server. Many of you probably know what Discord is. It's sort of a series of chat rooms that are all connected in one way. And there was a cryonics community Discord server. It was called Cryonics. There was also a subreddit for cryonics. And there were forums, like Cryonet 3 existed. However, each of these had problems. I would call this the dark ages of cryonics community. It was, these were bad times. And so why were these bad times? Well, unfortunately, it was because there were a series of people in each of those spaces that were ruining it for the rest of us. Right. So the first group, I would say, is the conspiracy theorists. So here's a fun quote. This one's actually more recent, but it's emblematic of what we saw back then. I don't see how young cryonicists can allegedly make fortunes in their teens and 20s from, quote, tech startups and similar schemes. I can think of at least 4 examples like that. Max Marty, Kai Micah Mills, Emil Kenziora, and Laura Deming. It can't possibly be that easy, so something else must be going on here. Obviously a more recent example, but this was what we saw a lot of in those other spaces around that time when I was connecting to them. What else? Well, just weirdos. I don't know how to put it. And not our kind of weirdos. We're all good weirdos. Not good weirdos. Okay. So, are you ready to use science to defeat death for God? Something, Holy Brain Bible. Cryonics Bible study. Liquid nitrogen or aldehyde. Have you made your decision for Christ? Have you made your decision for Christ? I don't know, right? I just don't know. But suffice it to say, these people scare others off, right? And that's not a good thing. So we also have some misogynists. Here's some good ones. So what accounts for the lost girls in cryonics? You know, the childless women who sign up for cryonics on their own initiative and who use mostly cats as substitutes for the children they would have had they been in a healthier society. These women also seem to have trouble forming stable relationships with men, I might add. I'm going out on the metaphorical limb here to speculate that it's also common for them to get the tubal ligation surgery early in life to ensure their sterility. All right. How about this quote? American libertarianism derives from the writings of 3 damaged, sterile women in the last century who couldn't form stable marriages, Isabel Patterson, Rose Wilder Lane, and Ayn Rand. Okay, anyway, these types of things were all over the place in the 3 communities that I just told you about. Okay. Additionally, and this one I'm not going to hit you with quotes because you might run screaming. We had stalkers, racists, nutcases, religious fanatics, and just plain assholes. Okay, so what? That is a scary looking bee. All right, so what? It's just a few bad apples. So what? These bad apples are bad. They poison everything around them, right? You get a bad apple, and then everybody around them just leaves, becomes toxic. The whole place becomes you don't want, especially public individuals who are not yet cryonicists, stumbling upon these communities and saying, I want nothing to do with those people. And this has almost certainly happened. Well, so what was the problem? These three places, okay, what was going on? Well, in the case of Discord, the moderator of this Discord server had been missing in action for years. He just wasn't around. We couldn't get a hold of him. He wouldn't kick anybody out. He wouldn't change anything because he was gone. No moderation. Okay. What about Reddit? Well, the guy who ran the subreddit was philosophically against moderation. He didn't like the idea of censorship. Okay, no moderation. Well, what about Cryonet 3? Also philosophically against moderation. No moderation. Okay. But I met a group of wonderful people, two of which I can see, and the third, the last one is probably somewhere, Eric, who we all collectively decided we are going to change this situation because we care about cryonics, we care about seeing it grow, we care about all the positive things that community does, and we had the time and the energy and the inclination to do it. All right. So we started a new Discord server. This was my first initiative, was let's just create a whole new thing. I'm not going to wait for this other guy to show up and never show up and whatever. Then we, Daniel and I actually created a podcast at first. And finally, and this was actually mostly Daniel's initiative, we took over the subreddit. And we said, okay, we're going to clean house. We're just going to make it so whatever the bad apples are, it's not going to keep happening. Awesome. That means quality on all this stuff went up, and we kicked out all of the, remember all the list of the different types of not good. We got rid of those people. And then, after that, we decided to go beyond just online community. So last year, we held the Global Cryonics Summit. Many of you here were there. It was down in Miami. Here's, a photo of some folks up on the stage. There were a lot of people there, in fact, close to 200. And we even had liquid nitrogen ice cream. And recently, we have founded a new organization called the Cryosphere Foundation. It's a nonprofit specifically to sort of bring all of these different efforts under one umbrella and create more stability in this whole process so that it can outlive any of us individually and kind of just do better. Great. So this here is also one of the big efforts that we made in the past few months to help put this together. Not the logistics, that was Adam and Nathan and a bunch of other people, thank you very much, but the program and all of the speakers and everything else that you've seen, and we hope to be able to do things like this in the future. Okay, so what's next? Well, we're going to do another Global Cryonics Summit. It's going to be next year. We were first thinking Q1, might be Q2, but there will be information on how to stay updated on that at the end. It's also going to be in Miami. It'll have more people. It'll have more liquid nitrogen ice cream. And it'll have more debates. Well, maybe not with these freaky things on the screen, but it'll have more debates, more people and more debates. So please join us either for updates. They'll eventually tell you where it's going to be, when it's going to be, probably give you some kind of discount code if you're really awesome and have signed up for these kind of updates. Or you can always, of course, go to the server if you're not already on the server. I guarantee you all of the nutty people have been removed or at least are being more quiet about it, which is fine. Yeah, that is it for my talk. That is it for all of these talks. Thank you very much for coming to Vitalist Bay on the Biostasis weekend. And Becca, you will kick it off with a few final notes. Thank you all.